area of Tillman and Ash. This is breaking as we are speaking. Officers are now searching desperately for that gunman. What we can tell you is that individual was seen. This is the very brief description of what we have. It is a young African-American male wearing tan pants and a tan jacket. He was seen last running away from that area. Again, Tillman and Ash. So if you live in that area, lock your doors. Make sure the windows are shut. We do not know where this gunman has run off to. I can tell you that they are just arriving. You see right there, police officers putting on their bulletproof vests. We've got numerous agencies now starting to respond to this shooting. Again, 2 Detroit police officers shot. We have heard that they've been transported to Detroit receiving. You see Michigan State Police there on the scene. As we said, this happened about 20 minutes ago. I was in the newsroom and we heard this go across on the scanner, and you heard officers, breathing heavily, saying, listen, we've got a gunman. We've got 2 people shot. Please respond quickly. And in a matter of moments, all of these officers descended onto this area. Obviously, they are very, very concerned about the well-being of those 2 officers and exactly where they were shot. We don't have that information. They were rushed to Detroit receiving. Now the question is, where is the gunman? You can see all of those squad cars lined up along the service drive there. We're hearing that's I-96 right to the right of that camera shot there. And now here comes the rifles and the guns. We are in a desperate search to make sure to find out where this individual was. Again, if you're just tuning in, this is what we know. It happened about 20 minutes ago. Gunshots rang out on this west side community. We're looking live at the intersection of Tillman and Ash. Don't necessarily know if this happened to be a traffic stop. Don't necessarily know why these Detroit police officers were interacting with this individual, but what we can tell you is about 20 minutes ago, gunshots were heard and 2 officers were shot. Quickly, they were transported. I was talking with some sources. They said they were brought to Detroit receiving. Do not know their condition now. In the meantime, they are regrouping there in the middle of the street, trying to fan out throughout the neighborhood to find out exactly where this individual ran off to. He was last seen on foot wearing tan pants and a tan jacket. We've got more officers arriving now here on the service drive. We are trying to gather as much information as we can. But again, if you are living in that neighborhood, lock your doors, close your windows, and obviously be on alert. We're looking for an individual who's running for cover. And unfortunately, in situations like this, it has been known where they try to either carjack someone to get out of the area. They have been known to break into homes, and I hate to say take hostages. I'm not saying that this is what has occurred, but I am saying that for people who live in this area, please be very, very careful. Keep those doors locked. And if anyone has seen any suspicious activity in the area of Tillman and Ash, any individual running with these, all we can say is, tan pants and a tan jacket. We need that information. You can call Detroit police immediately. What we do know is now, gosh, I'd say there's more than 20 squad cars that have arrived on the scene, and they continue to arrive. And as we know, whenever a police officer is shot, everyone responds very quickly. We've got Michigan State Police over there. We have marked cars and we have unmarked cars trying to fan out. The matter of moments after a shooting like this are so vital, obviously, because they need to lock down this community. That's the Ash Street right there. So we're talking Tillman and Ashton. Look up there on the screen. We've got it's most likely the Michigan State Police chopper, because that's the one that typically works at night on this shift in terms of helping Detroit police. And I can tell you, I've been up in that chopper before, and when that spotlight shines down, they can see a lot with their infrared camera. So what they're looking for from up above is someone hiding, someone going from 1 yard to another. They can really zero in on if somebody perhaps is, in an unlit area, in an area hiding behind a shed or behind a garage. They can see that from up in the air. Now it's the officer's job on the ground to find out exactly where this gunman ran off to. And we've got everyone trying to fan out there. Again, we're going to just give you a repeat in case you happen to tune in. This is breaking news into the Local 4 newsroom. I'd say approximately about 26 minutes ago, gunshots rang out on the intersection of Tillman and Ash. We heard it cross the scanner. And now we see that car right there with the two doors open. And again, I'm just surmising here, but you would lead you to believe that somehow this is related to some type of traffic stop, because most likely if that car right there that we can see in the distance with the car open and the doors open, perhaps that gunman was in that vehicle. Some type of scenario happened where he was interacting with police and then the gunshots rang out. We don't know the condition of these police officers. I can tell you that everyone is very concerned. This brings back memories of when Wayne State University police officer Sergeant Colin Rose was shot on November 22nd, as we reported on that Tuesday night of Thanksgiving, and everyone responded so very quickly. And as we said, it is the matter of minutes now that we need to try to find out who is responsible for this shooting. We've got Detroit police on the service drive there, and to give you some bearing, right there, that's I-96 right there. So you see the heavy traffic that's moving there, and you can see the okay, so that's the bridge to Canada, so you kind of know you're kind of close to that southwest area of the city. We're labeling it the west side. And it's Tillman and Ash is where this is going down right now. So we've got squad cars on the service drive. Then a couple blocks in, it looks like we've got a staging area where we have Michigan State Police along with Detroit Police. We have officers in uniform. We have unmarked squad cars, and we see a group walking there, but I don't see, it's hard to see with the light. It just looks like that is a group of police officers. We're not hearing of any arrests right now. But what we're looking for is a brief description. We have African-American male. We don't have an age, but we do have, they were last seen running from the area of Tillman and Ash, wearing tan pants and a tan jacket. We don't know exactly in terms of what exact area. And as you see, there we go. We've got the police, Detroit police, and they are walking away. It looked like they were meeting, so perhaps they were getting some type of update on what to do next. And typically in a situation like this, different units are assigned to different streets and different homes, and that's when they start going yard to yard to yard, knocking on doors, asking to see if anyone has seen anything, heard anything, and it won't surprise me if we don't see the canines out yet, or if they have not been dispatched, they will be. And what they will be looking for, obviously, is the scent of this gunman to find out exactly where they took off to in the dark of night. It is 8:50 right now, so we don't have a whole lot of activity in terms of a lot of people coming home from work. The streets aren't very busy right now with traffic, which will help them in their search for this gunman. So what they're looking now for is they're going to be listening to the radio too. As we said, many times in situations like this, someone will take off and run. They've got a couple of options. They're either going to, unfortunately, carjack someone and try to get out of the area. So they're listening for reports of anyone who perhaps have been carjacked. They're also listening for reports of stolen vehicles. Many times they'll just try to break into a car and get out, or they will try to get into a home. We do have up above Michigan State Police a chopper, and they're surrounding the area, going up, up above. There we see it right there in the sky. And they try to circle and narrow down, and it's amazing. I've been up there in that chopper, and they can see so much, and it is a wide area. And even if you feel like you're hiding and it's dark, the spotlight does not have to be on you. You can be in the dark, but because they have these very high-tech infrared cameras, they can see you while you're hiding, and you have no idea that they see you. I'll tell you another time too, sometimes they'll put the spotlight somewhere else and someone thinks that they're going there, but they're also searching another area. So that's another way of them catching assailants who are trying to hide from the police. Now we've got that van taking off. We've got Detroit Police squad car there going, and I'm sure that's exactly what they're doing, is moving everyone now to different areas of that neighborhood. As you see on the screen, 2 Detroit police officers have been shot this evening, and this is very frightening news for the people that are working with these officers, and very frightening for the people who live in this community. What we can tell you is that there's a car there in the distance. It appears at this particular point that someone may have been pulled over, and we're getting a closer look there, and I have to apologize. I don't know exactly the make and model of that car, but I can tell you it looks like it's a sedan, two-door with both doors open, and most likely whoever shot the, oh, there's the cane. I think that's just an individual walking their dog, which I would be surprised why they were doing that at this particular time in this exact area, unless that was a canine. So we've got that car, and that's the one in question. And now we have more unmarked police officers, and you're looking at these squad cars filled with police officers, and they're in the front seat, they're in the back seat, they are armed, and they are ready to find this gunman. We're just trying to see, okay, they're getting out. Yeah, every different type of agency now within all different task force have been called, I'm sure, throughout Detroit Police. It doesn't take long, and unfortunately it is one of the scariest calls, I have to say, that you can hear, whether it's on your scanner radio or whether you get that cell phone call from one of your partners saying, listen, we've got 2 officers down and we need your help and you need to arrive ASAP. Looks like there might be a fire truck there too as well. And as you can imagine, I'm not exactly sure why that fire engine 27 is there, but I can tell you everyone responds. Medics, firefighters, because everyone here in this city is working together in a situation like that. Again, it was approximately about 8:25, I would say, 8:25, 8:30, when this breaking news situation happened. It appears to have been some type of traffic stop. Why that car was pulled over, we do not know. And we have some more video now. Hear myself, right? Okay, I do hear myself. Thank you very much. This is some fresh video that was fed in that happened a few moments before. So this is not live, but this is video of the situation that we were one of the very first ones that arrived on the scene because one of our photographers happened to be in that area. This area is not too far from the station, kind of in southwest Detroit, right kind of near that exit where you see for the bridge to Canada. Again, Tillman and Ash, about 8:25, shots ring out. Now we're going to go back to live pictures. What officers now obviously are searching for is getting any clues from this car. Who owns the car? Is there any other kind of evidence there that they can help lead them to who is responsible for this shooting? I can say it was around 8:25. The shots rang out. 2 officers called in. They were shot. They were brought to Detroit Receiving. We have talked to the officials at Detroit Police Headquarters. We don't know exactly how serious their injuries are, if it is life-threatening, but I can tell you anytime an officer is shot, it is taken very, very seriously. So as they have been transported to Detroit Receiving, now the search is on for who is responsible and what really happened here. Not that there ever is a reason to bring out a gun, but what exactly happened, why this car was pulled over, we do not know. But the gunman did take off running on foot. And that gunman is described as an African-American male. We don't have an age, wearing tan pants and a tan jacket. Now, we just have one person being described right now, but at the same time, both doors are open. Now, were both doors open? And as we're looking at the screen right there, you've got Michigan State Police chopper up above, trying to look, trying to search for that gunman who is hiding from authorities right now. What they've got going for them is they've got that huge bright spotlight, plus they have infrared cameras, and they can detect heat. It is amazing the ability of these cameras. So we've got a question: is this gunman hiding somewhere behind any kind of rubbish, a shed, a garage? Has he gone inside? Or unfortunately, has there been something else? Has someone aided them in any way to get them out of the area? This is the moments, as we say, after a shooting like this, it is crucial to lock down and start fanning out. I can tell you that Detroit Police, they have arrived on the scene. Michigan State Police have arrived on the scene. And we've got the chopper in the air, we have canines on the ground, and now it's the mission to find out exactly who is responsible. We're obviously worried for the officers' well-being, and we're also worried for the people who live in this area. If you just joined us, we said, you know, if you are living in that area of Tillman and Ash, please be careful. Lock the doors, go to the front door, go to the back door, and check those windows. I can't tell you how many times we've reported on a situation where people forget about those windows. And also, if you have a key fob in your house, lock the doors from outside if you can, you know what I'm saying, to lock, you don't want to give this perpetrator a vehicle to be able to run away and to get away from the scene. Boy, the chopper, is that the, yep, that's the chopper. Okay, and they're just looking, they're going really slow in this particular area. And it's right there, the interstate there is I-96. It's kind of that interchange, kind of somewhat close towards the bridge area of going into Canada, southwest Detroit. And I'm not exactly sure. It almost looks like he's about to land on that overpass, which I'm not exactly sure why. We're going to stand by and exactly see, unless there might be some kind of medical situation or something like that, but that's very rare to see something like that. You've just seen the chopper land on the overpass, and I'm not sure the purpose of that, unless sometimes they might want to get more people into that chopper for some reason and transport. That would seem a little different. That I'm a little bewildered by that particular thing. We're going to see exactly what happens with that chopper. Again, this is Karen Drew reporting here from the Local 4 newsroom. We are covering the shooting of 2 Detroit police officers. Just happened about, I'd say, about 8:25, 8:30. We were in the newsroom. We heard it on the scanner, and everyone took a collective gasp. We were like, oh my goodness, please may this not be the case. It is always so frightening when you hear a shooting at any point. Then you hear heavy breathing and saying, 2 officers down, 2 officers down, we need help. We need help. I don't know in terms of the injuries. We still don't know exactly the extent of the injuries, but we can tell you. Okay. And okay, we just got some information. Mara McDonald has just arrived on the scene. She has been talking with her sources. We are going to toss it to her and see exactly what have you learned, Mara?
Good evening to you, Karen. Let me fill you in on what we got out here. We're at 23rd in Michigan right now. You can see police have this entire area here blocked off, but that's not all that they have blocked off. They have easily blocked off a 2 square mile area out here. It is impossible for anyone to get in and anyone to get out. You've got police officers on foot in the area, and at one point we had 2 choppers in the sky. Right now, that is not the case. Only 1 is left up there right now. Police officers telling us their command post is down 23rd Street where we're at, but they're telling us that they will not allow our camera access or anything like that. I mean, usually if we're on foot, they will let us, go past the police, flashing car light type thing. Not tonight. We have seen a tremendous response out here. Anybody who is in the immediate 96 MLK area isn't going to be going anywhere, and it looks like they're going to be widening off that dragnet they have going out here. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't be surprised if we're about to get kicked out of our spot. This is not great. What police on the ground are telling us at this point is that they have 2 officers who have been shot. One's injuries, we are told, are less severe than the other officer's injuries. We are told that they got into some sort of a situation with a known suspect. Police know who they're looking for. They're not giving out a name, at least where I am at this point, but they will say that they are looking for a known suspect. They are on the ground en masse trying to find that suspect and have essentially cordoned off a 2 square mile area and have people out on foot, people in their cars, and at least 2 choppers in the air. Also tracking dogs out here as well. Karen, it's chaos.
Well, I can imagine. I mean, we can see this developing as we speak. I want to make one clarification. We were focusing on a car with the 2 doors open. That is a Detroit Police unmarked squad car. So that is not a suspect's car. I do want you to repeat again. What did you learn again about the officer's condition and the severity of these gunshot wounds? Repeat that again, because we're all very worried about these officers.
2 officers hit. 1 officer's injuries are less severe than the other. Does that mean that it's not severe? No, it means that one is injured less than the other one is. The one who has the lesser injuries, we are told by sources, has been shot in the leg. It's unclear on the extent of the other officers' injuries, but both of them are at the hospital right now, and DPD, MSP, Wayne County Sheriff, Border Patrol, essentially anyone with a badge has cordoned off this entire 2 square mile area. Karen.
When you were arriving to the scene, I know you had to get as close as you can, but obviously they're blocking off certain areas. Were you able to see ramps as well?
Ramps as well. I mean, if people who are trying to get down to this immediate area aren't going to be able to get off the freeway, and I mean, it is clear when you're you're on 96 and you're getting over here that there is something serious is going on. I can't tell you how many people have stopped by the live truck. I haven't been able to talk to any of them. They're like, "What is going on? What is going on?" I mean, this is not average, and this is not something that people who live in this area, are used to seeing. It's that big of a thing.
I know, and we have the chopper up above. We saw one chopper land. I'm not exactly sure what that was about. Were you able to see an up-close shot in terms of what was going on when that chopper landed on that little overpass there?
I couldn't see that. I know we have 2 choppers up here,
okay.
And both of them have been flying around, lights on, spotlights on, and they've been moving at a pretty good clip around here. They're actively in search mode, and I think that the reason that we've got the area cordoned off the way that we do is because they think there's a really good chance that the shooter in this case is still on the ground here, hiding out somewhere nearby. They think they have a chance of catching him. I mean, they don't think he has exited the area, which is why they're taking things so seriously out here. They aren't letting anybody in or out of here right now.
And one last question, Mara. You did mention the suspect. From what you understand from your sources, this is an individual. Police actually know who he is. They had some run-ins with him in the past. Is that what you're hearing?
Well, that's what we're hearing out here, that it is a known suspect. They are not giving an identity to us or a picture yet. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens really soon. They seem to know who exactly they're looking for. They've given a description, Karen, but I was told not to broadcast that yet because they're fine-tuning it, but they know who they're looking for, and they clearly think he's on the ground here.
All right, Mara, we're going to let you get... Okay, Mara, we're going to let you go and get some more information. Tim Pamplin also on the scene, one of the very first to arrive here. Tim, what have you found out, and describe the situation where you are exactly?
Within a couple of minutes of the shooting run coming out, just got some information from a couple of officers that stopped by here that I know. Said they are looking for a yellow taxi cab. They are now looking for a yellow taxi cab that was in this area. As I zoom in here, you'll see that vehicle. That's a Detroit police cruiser. That with the 2 doors open. That was the vehicle these 2 officers were in. They were interacting with this individual when the shootings occurred. The shooter then came down Tillman Street, which is that cross street over there, and went south on Tillman Street. They believe the shooter is still in the area. They're fanning out. As I say, we've got officers now looking for a yellow taxi cab that was in the area. They're setting up a perimeter. It's very wide. Fortunately, I'm able to get right up on the scene here. And as we zoom in down Ash Street from the I-96 service drive, you'll see the officers' patrol car, doors open. Early when I got here, I've got some video I'll feed back in a few minutes. You actually see one of their uniform hats laying in front of that patrol car. They were outside the vehicle talking to this individual when the shots rang out. When I was coming down Martin Luther King Boulevard, right over here across 96, there was a convoy of about 20 Detroit police cars. I'm being told the officers were inside one of those police cars being transported to the DRH. Just a massive show of law enforcement presence here. Now this is about 2 miles from where the Wayne State University officer was shot, just over the freeway, just over that way a bit. Obviously that's something to bear in mind. It's a very close proximity, the Grand River, where that happened. It's just across the freeway here. But again, Tillman and Ash, you see the officer's cruiser there, 2 doors open, looks like a baseball cap laying in front. Officers now fanning out. As Mara was telling us, they've set up a perimeter. It is quite large. Officers just told me about a 2-mile perimeter around this scene. Nobody's getting in, and hopefully nobody's getting out. Aaron?
I can tell you, Tim, I'm just going to stretch here a little bit because I'm understanding that we think we may be getting a photograph, is that right? We may have a photograph of the suspect, so we're going to see if we can try to get that on the air as quick as possible. I'm trying to turn that. I can tell you, typical procedure, they're setting up a command post, trying to figure out exactly what is next and trying to find this gunman. You clarified that car there was a police car. You did mention a yellow taxi cab. Can you describe exactly the scenario? Because last we heard that the gunman took off on foot, and now you're mentioning a taxi cab. So can you describe that again for us, Tim?
Yeah, sources just came by who I recognize. They filmed me in. They said their charge right now is to get around this area and look for this taxi cab that was seen right at this intersection as this went down. Now, they don't know if this person is a witness, is involved, but the reports initially over the police radios were that the shooter took off down Tillman Street. So that taxi they're looking for, if you know someone who drives a yellow taxi and frequents this neighborhood, you might want to give them a call and say, hey, the police are looking for you. And if you saw anything, do give the police a call. If you're that taxi driver and you're seeing this report now, they'd really like to talk to you. But again, officers arriving. I've seen officers from all over the area and from different agencies responding. Detroit Fire. I'm not too sure when I rolled up here, shortly afterwards, that fire truck was here. I don't know if that was here when this happened.
No, I will tell you, Tim, I don't believe it was. I mean, and we've reported on the streets before, when someone has a call like this goes out and you're in the area, you show up and you help. And like you said, I mean, everyone is there. Detroit Police, Michigan State Police, Border Patrol, you're right near there. You've got Wayne State not far. You've got Wayne County Sheriff's deputies. I mean, everyone is trying to respond. And obviously try to find out exactly what happened.
Karen, that helicopter we just saw landing on the bridge over here.
Yes, what was going on there?
That just took off again. What I believe happened was they wanted to there was a piece of equipment, but there's two helicopters here. There's an MSP helicopter, and I believe the U.S. Customs and Border Patrol helicopter is in the area. Okay. One of them was looking for a piece of equipment, a specialized piece of equipment which is on the ground. I think they landed, grabbed that equipment, and they went back up with it.
Tim, I need to interrupt you. This is very important. We've got that photograph or that person of interest we are looking for. Everyone, please stop what you're doing. Take a look at your screen. We need some information on this person that you see on the screen. He is being called a person of interest in this case. The case involves 2 Detroit police officers being shot nearly 45 to 50 minutes ago. This is what we know right now. That shooting happened near the intersection of Tillman and Ash. A person of interest is the person you're looking for on the screen. We can tell you that Detroit police say an individual ran away from that scene wearing tan pants and a tan jacket. He was running south on Tillman. Then, moments later, we say there is a yellow taxi cab perhaps involved, and obviously we're thinking that perhaps that person of interest got into that taxi and then got out of the area, which we do not want to happen because we have such a wide infrastructure of trying to find him. So we need information on that yellow taxi cab. If anyone can come forward with if they were, let's say, picked up an individual, or perhaps that person, in a sense, carjacked that taxi. We don't know. We've got a variety of agencies there on the scene. We've got a command post that's set up. We have 2 choppers in the air, and we have dozens and dozens of officers arriving right now to fan out.
Person of interest is Raymond Durham.
Raymond Durham. Raymond Durham is the name of the person of interest. Say that again.
60 years old.
60 years old. We're going to pop that picture up one more time. 60-year-old Raymond Durham is the person of interest that people are desperately looking for in relation to these 2 officers that were shot. As we said, this is breaking news. We have crews all throughout the area and on the ground. We are going to go back and work on this story. As soon as we get more information, we will bring it to you. But again, for the people living in at Tillman and Ash, please, everyone, stay indoors. There is a gunman on the loose. Everyone needs to be careful. If you have information, contact police. We will be covering this here, obviously, on Local 4. And if you want any developments, go to Click on Detroit right now. We are streaming live video, and and we are updating the situation. Mara McDonald is there. She will be tweeting as well, and we will be back as soon as we get more information. Again, we will return to our regular programming, and we'll be back soon once we learn more.
Following breaking news tonight with Karen Drew, I'm Devin Skillian. We are awaiting word from Detroit Police Chief James Craig, coming here at any moment to update us on the shooting of 2 Detroit police officers. This happening tonight in the area of 23rd and Ash, where a manhunt remains underway for the gunman.
That's right. Police are now looking for 59-year-old Raymond Durman, described as African-American male, about 59. Tan pants, tan jacket. We have just heard from some of our sources at Detroit Receiving that the chief said that these officers do not have life-threatening injuries. They should be okay, but again, we are waiting to hear from the chief.
Keep it here. We'll keep you advised. We continue to follow the breaking news tonight. 2 Detroit police officers shot on the west side of town. Detroit Police Chief James Craig updating us right now. Let's go to him live.
8:15 tonight, 2 of our officers assigned to the 3rd Precinct Special Operations, working ironically in the same area where Colin Rose was fatally shot. We've been working in this area, as you know. So 2 of our officers, one with 20 years seniority, another with 4 years in this area, saw a suspect in the vicinity of a narcotics location. What drew their attention to him, he was acting fidgety, moving around. They got out to investigate further. When they did so, they went to approach, try to identify the suspect. The suspect then reached in his pocket, pulled out a gun, firing shots at both officers, striking both officers. The officers did return fire. It is unknown at this point whether or not their shots took effect. One of our officers was shot in the ankle, non-fatal, but he was also shot twice in the upper torso, but he's wearing a protective body armor. We believe that saved his life. The second officer was shot in the neck. We are not sure the extent of the injuries, but he's being treated. The early diagnosis is that he's going to be okay. We're just not certain. I won't release information about the officers because the next of kin is being notified as we speak. But the suspect who we're looking for is a African-American male, 60 years old. His name is Raymond Durham. He is considered armed and dangerous. As far as we know, based on the information I'm getting from the crime scene, that the suspect is still armed. The last known address that we have on him is 3806 Magnolia Street in Detroit. He's 5'8", 140 pounds. His name is Raymond Durham. We're asking for the public's assistance. If you know him, if you know his whereabouts, give us a call.
Chief, is this individual known to officers? Did he have any kind of contact with you guys before?
At this point in the investigation, I'm not certain. I know the officers have been in this area for some time. I have some preliminary information they may have had contact with this individual. I am not certain.
Do you know what those officers were working on in that area? Was it connected to Officer Rose's killing at all?
Part of it was connected to Officer Rose. As I indicated, they've been putting a lot of attention in that area, trying to identify the person responsible for Officer Rose. And so they were here doing that work.
Is there a chance this guy could be connected to that?
I'm not certain yet. I wish I could tell you that. I'm absolutely not certain. But we do know, we believe he is the suspect in this shooting incident. He is considered armed and dangerous.
Chief, you were here so many times last year, and here you are again. What needs to be done to keep your officers from winding up in the ERs with gunshot wounds?
Well, you know, I've said it too many times. We have got to stand in a unified way, denounce the violence, the violent attack against police officers. It's certainly not acceptable. Our officers run to danger, not to run away from danger. And so we know that here in Detroit, our community, our city leaders are here supporting, making sure these officers are treated and survive their injuries. And so very optimistic tonight about their, coming through this in a positive way. However, we have an armed and dangerous suspect at large, and we need the public's help.
Are you getting help from other police agencies?
Resources that are being deployed to find this individual?
Well, we do know Wayne State's here. Certainly we have a number of our task forces deployed. Our special response unit is deployed. And some of our task force units include the FBI, ATF, and so we have a number of resources. You can't hide from us. We're going to find you. And so, but again, we are asking for the public's help. And I know we gave out a photograph of the individual. I hope that all of you have that. But he is a person that we're looking for, and yes, he's armed and dangerous.
All right, Chief.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Chief.
Okay, I'll give you.
All right, Police Chief James Craig updating us on what has been another very difficult night for Detroit police. The most terrifying sound for them in the world is to hear officer down going out over the radio, and they heard it in the case of 2 officers tonight, both of them being treated right now, one having been shot in the ankle, although certainly it's believed there on the chief's part that his bulletproof vest saved him because he was also shot 2 times in the torso, but the vest stopped the bullets. The other one shot in the neck. The police chief saying they're not exactly certain of the extent of that officer's injuries. However, they don't believe that the injuries are life-threatening. This is the scene right now around 23rd and Ash, where the search continues at this hour. Obviously, the suspect being described as armed and dangerous. His last known residence, 3806 Magnolia in Detroit. His name is Raymond Durham. The suspect is 5 feet 8 inches tall, 140 pounds. We've been showing you the picture through the evening. And as we know also from the Colin Rose case, time is of the essence here. And if anyone has any idea of this man's whereabouts, they are urged to contact Detroit police right away. The interesting connection here that the chief was just drawing is that some of this happened in the events of tonight, some of them happening around the area where the Wayne State officer Colin Rose was killed. Apparently there was a known drug deal area that the officers were surveying, and about that time they saw this man, according to the chief, went to question him, and as they tried to do that, he pulled a gun and fired at both of the officers. They're not certain whether Raymond Durham was hit, but the search for him continues at this hour. We will continue to keep you advised here both on air and online at clickondetroit.com. A full wrap-up coming up tonight on Local 4 News at 11. I'm Devin Skillian. We'll take you back to regular programming. We continue to follow breaking news from Detroit's west side at this hour. 2 Detroit police officers shot, 1 in the ankle, 1 in the neck. Police Chief James Craig told us a short time ago he expects they will both recover, but right now the search is on for this suspect, 60-year-old Raymond Durham. The chief calls him armed and dangerous. We've got live team coverage coming up on Local 4 News tonight at 11. Until then, we will continually update clickondetroit.com. Keep it right here, and we'll keep you advised.
Local 4 News begins right now with a breaking news alert.
Convoys of Detroit police officers racing down the street, some trying to get their brother in blue to the hospital, others hurrying to the scene where he and another officer were shot.
So this suspect, if he's watching, you know who you are. We're going to find you. Do yourself a favor, and turn yourself in.
And in fact, it appears they have found him as we come to you tonight with Local 4 News at 11. This all-out manhunt for the shooter who wounded 2 police officers at the top of the news.
In the past few hours, police officers have been intensely combing West Side neighborhoods for that suspect, 60-year-old Raymond Durham, and we have just learned he has been taken into custody. We have every angle covered for you tonight.
Jason Colthorpe live at the hospital. We'll have updates on the officers in a moment. Let's start with Mara McDonald with more on this manhunt, which apparently has found its man. Mara?
Devin, I want to show you something. Take a walk with me. Sorry, we're on Michigan Avenue and it's a mess out here. Can you see all the flashing lights down there? That is where they just arrested Raymond Durham. Maybe 4 blocks away, we're talking maybe Michigan and West Grand Boulevard area. At Michigan and Vinewood, you can see the police cars are starting to come this way. It is turning into a caravan of officers at this point. But we have been told that Raymond Durham has been taken into custody just moments ago here at Michigan and Vinewood, which means that he has been in this area as police expected all night. Stand by. here we go. One of these cars has him in there. They're hauling out of here right now. Let me take you through here. Jake, can you walk with me a little bit? Okay, so you see the police cars flying through here. Let's get into something that isn't a pothole here. Okay, this is Michigan Avenue where we're at right now. It has been a parking lot all night. Police have had the thing blocked off since about 8:45. It was a critical part of their perimeter. Do you see the big blue command unit there? Police have set up their mobile command post there. It means that the suspect was all of maybe 5 blocks away from them, at least for the majority of the evening. What Jake is showing you right now is 96. They've had that shut down, or at least access to 96 shut down for most of the night. Jake, can we show them Tillman? Okay. You see the street right here, where all these police officers are that are still cordoned off. About 2 blocks in is where this shooting went down. You had 2 Detroit police officers working the area. It is a known narcotics area. These police officers approached the suspect, started talking to him. What's going on out here? What are you doing out here? He presented them his ID. And then, police say, he pulled out a gun and started firing. Let's listen to Detroit Police Chief James Craig.
The suspect then reached in his pocket, pulled out a gun, firing shots at both officers, striking both officers. The officers did return fire. It is unknown at this point whether or not their shots took effect.
Back here live, it is unclear whether Durham has been hit, but we know that he has been apprehended. The picture that police were using of him was actually the picture on the ID that he gave police officers. Police have been out here, and not just the Detroit Police Department, but multiple agencies have been out here. I'd say they've had about a 1 square mile perimeter. They moved it down from 2 square miles to 1 square mile, and they flushed him out, got him maybe 5 blocks going that way. They've had SWAT out here, Violent Crimes Task Force is out here, and they just got him. My colleague Jason Colthorpe has been live at Detroit Receiving Hospital all night tonight. He's got the latest on the officers. Jace, what can you tell us?
Well, first, Marla, let me back up and confirm that the suspect has been shot and he is on his way. Durham is to Detroit Receiving Hospital right now, and you can see a lot of officers behind me gathering near the door. They've been here all night, numerous officers rushing to Detroit Receiving once word got out that these 2 officers were shot, trying to get word on their condition. And first and foremost, let's cover that. They are critical, but they are expected to be okay. One is a 20-year veteran of the force, the other a 4-year veteran of the force. And listen to Chief James Craig one more time talk about how close this was to being a fatal shooting tonight.
One of our officers was shot in the ankle, non-fatal. But he was also shot twice in the upper torso, but he's wearing a protective body armor. We believe that saved his life. Second officer, however, was shot in the neck. We are not sure the extent of the injuries, but he's being treated. The early diagnosis is that he's going to be okay. We're just not certain.
All right, guys, as we come back here live, let's get a live update now from Chief James Craig, who is joining us with an update on the situation.
Well, I can tell you right now, we do have a suspect in custody. Just want to commend the great work of our Detroit police officers, our TRUE unit, but the collaborative effort. We had MSP, just a real collaborative effort, really looking for this suspect who was armed and dangerous. He did sustain a gunshot wound to one of his legs. He has been transported, not to this hospital, but to another local hospital where he will be treated for his injuries. So our investigation continues.
Chief, was he shot in the first encounter or when he was taken into custody?
No, the first encounter. In fact, we are very certain that it happened during the first encounter based on the evidence that we have. During the second encounter, again, the suspect was suffering from a gunshot wound. He was taken into custody without incident.
Did the officers find him, sir, or were they notified by the public?
They found him.
What can you say about these officers who were able to get around?
I got to tell you, I've worked in a couple of police departments, the Detroit Police Department, some of the finest officers in America. You know, we talk about American heroes. They were relentless. They never gave up. They were committed to the mission, and we got the suspect.
Chief, any updates on your officers? I know earlier you said that you're cautiously optimistic.
I'm always cautious. Until you walk out of this place, I'm cautiously optimistic. And so at this point, they're being treated. Their families are with them. And so we just hope that they'll be walking out of here very soon.
Have they recovered his weapon?
By the way, they did recover a weapon during the arrest. So a weapon was recovered.
You know, I'm assuming, Chief, that since they recovered that weapon, that will be used to figure out if he had any connection whatsoever to the Colin Rose shooting.
We are not ruling anything out. Absolutely. We're looking at everything.
All right, guys, there you just got a quick little update from Chief James Craig. And you heard him mention the Officer Rose connection. That's a possible connection because this scene was about a mile away from where Officer Rose was shot and killed. And these officers were on that scene because of an uptick in investigations in that area. Now, they haven't ruled anything out. We talked to Chief Craig about that earlier. We're not so sure about that. But first, again, you heard these officers, critical, expected to be okay. The chief is cautiously optimistic. The suspect, Durham, has been shot in the leg. He's been taken to another hospital. Let's get out to Tim Pamplin with the night cam where this latest arrest was made. Tim?
Yeah, Jason, this is Michigan and Vinewood. If you look down there on the night cam, you'll see the scene, the command post where the shooting occurred, the city in the background. 6 blocks down here on Michigan Avenue. So walk over here, you'll see police officers. This is where the apprehension just took place. They took him into custody outside that black vehicle there. Officers have just taken him from the scene here, taken him to the hospital. As we look around here, you'll see these tire marks along the road, along Michigan Avenue, leading me to believe that for some reason this person may have been in that vehicle. Officers said he was in a car. Now, I don't know if it was this black one, but one witness who just left the scene here said that there was about 100 police cars in this area all evening since that shooting, and finally they got their man, and he's now in custody in the hospital. And so that's the scene right now. The manhunt has ended. Back to you guys in the studio.
That is some very, very good news. Thank you very much, Tim.
Took just about 2.5 hours or so for them to track him down. If you're just joining us, we get you up to speed here on the breaking news that we've been following tonight. Detroit police say that the man who shot and injured 2 police officers is, as Tim just showed us, in custody. 60-year-old Raymond Durham was arrested near Michigan and Vinewood.
Police say the officers approached him near a narcotics location near Tillman and Ash, and when they were looking at his ID, he pulled a gun and fired. One officer was shot in the ankle and upper torso. The other was shot in the neck.
Both of them are going to expected to survive this. Durham was also shot, though, during that initial encounter, shot in the leg, according to the chief, on his way to the hospital right now. We do not yet have the names of these 2 officers. Earlier tonight, the chief told us they had to wait until families were notified, but as we just heard him say, their families are now with them, so we would expect we will learn the identity of these officers here very soon.
But officers with a 20-year seniority and 4-year seniority have been protecting our streets, that is for sure. We will continue to follow the developments on this breaking story and bring you the very latest on air, online, and of course the very first thing on Local 4 News today, starting at 4:30.
A lot more to come, but we continue to follow breaking news from Detroit's west side. 60-year-old Raymond Durham, the man suspected of shooting 2 Detroit police officers, has been arrested right now, heading to the hospital. He was shot by those officers during that initial encounter, but then he was arrested about 3 hours later on Michigan and Vinewood. We're told without incident, but he was suffering from a gunshot wound to the leg.
We remain on the scene tonight, and we will continue to bring you updates on this breaking news situation as more information comes into our newsroom.
Here we go. Updating tonight's breaking news from Detroit Receiving Hospital, where 2 Detroit police officers are being treated after being shot tonight. One in the ankle, one in the neck, a through-and-through injury. Both expected to be okay, but both are considered critical. More and more officers arriving at the scene here to be with their brothers who've been shot tonight, and more of them arriving because the suspect is now in custody, having been shot in the leg himself during that confrontation with police. He's been taken to another hospital. And as we follow this tonight, just an incredible turn of events. But these two officers looking like they are going to be okay tonight. We're live at Detroit Receiving. Jason Colthorpe, Local 4.
All of our best thoughts with them at this hour and updates as where they are available. If you're just joining us, let's get you caught up on breaking news from Detroit's West Side, where 2 officers were shot tonight.
Police have arrested the suspect you see right there on the screen. Tim Pamplin is at the scene where he was taken in custody and is learning more from how this came about. Tim.
Yeah, Karen, so it was a little sporadic earlier when this suspect was taken into custody shortly before 11 o'clock right here at Michigan and Vinewood. As I approached the scene, a couple of detectives here telling me exactly how this takedown went down. They got some tips that led them to this field at Michigan and Vinewood. As I turn up the night cam here, I zoom into these weeds, these bushes over here. Raymond Durham was hiding right in there, gun in his waistband. He surrendered when police approached him with their guns drawn. He was taken into custody. They discovered he had a gunshot wound to his leg, which he sustained during the initial shooting. He is now in custody in the hospital. So Raymond Durham, suspect wanted for shooting 2 Detroit police officers, is now in custody. Back to you guys in the studio.